Hey guys, welcome back to another video in the Silverado series. Today I'm going to be discussing my top 5 likes and dislikes of the 2023 Chevy Silverado LT, of course with the 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. So if you guys are new to the channel and or not subscribed, I've been daily driving the 2023 Chevy Silverado LT for a few weeks behind me, kind of getting an ownership experience of how it's like to daily drive and live with a 4-cylinder full-size truck. So make sure to check out the dedicated playlist here on the channel where I have many videos covering just that, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it if you have been following along, as this has been a very fun series to kind of create and kind of live with a totally different vehicle that I'm not used to, as I personally do not own a truck or anything like that. But this is interesting to kind of get a feel for what it's like to live with the 4-cylinder or the cheapest Silverado you can get with the refresh interior. Now in this video, I want to cover the top 5 likes and dislikes of this 2023 Silverado behind me. Now some of these only pertain to the equipment found on this truck or higher trim levels of the Silverado. Some of them are in the Silverado in general, and other ones kind of pertain to the 4-cylinder. So hopefully you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from as far as the likes and dislikes go. And I do want to mention that these are in no particular order. They're just ones that I've come up with over time as I've gotten to drive this truck. But let's not waste time and jump right in. So starting on the exterior, my first like is the LED headlights. Now this one being an LT comes standard with the LED projector headlamps along with the LED reflector high beams. I do believe GM kind of revised the headlamps over the pre-refresh models with the LED reflectors. These ones are extremely good. Make sure to go check out that video where I go around all the exterior lighting on this truck. But overall, I am very impressed with the LED headlamps. Obviously, LED fog lights do come higher up on the trim structure. I really don't think they're needed. They would help in certain scenarios, but even on this truck without the LED fog lights, the headlights are plenty bright. The high beams really illuminate the road, and overall, I have no complaints with the LED headlights. And to go along with the LED headlamps, you do gain LED daytime running lights and turn signals in this boomerang portion right here. Now, one small complaint I do have that's not on my dislikes list necessarily is that this truck does not come with LED taillights. So you do get the incandescent taillights on this truck. However, the lighting in the front is full LED. Now, sticking to the exterior on this truck, my next like comes to the wheels and tires. Now, these are the 18-inch silver alloy wheels that come standard as part of the Z71 package. However, if you guys have ever tried to build a Silverado, have kind of looked at the 2.7 in particular, then you know you cannot option the Z71 off-road package with the 2.7 liter turbo engine option unless you opt for the custom Trail Boss or the LT Trail Boss. So that gives you some of the Z71 equipment automatically. However, on the regular trims of the Silverado, you cannot option the Z71 package. So you do have the option to put these wheels along with an all-terrain tire on this truck, and I have to say the tires are definitely very compliant on the road. They do not howl or growl or anything like that, but you will gain a good amount of traction off-road if you were to take this down a dirt or mud road. The all-terrain tires are definitely one of the options I would pick if I were to spec out a Silverado similar to this. So this next one requires using the remote start option, which does come standard on the LT. So remote starting the truck, you can see it's very easy from the key fob, but my like is on the inside. So number 3 is the heated steering wheel along with the heated front seats. Now, not only are the heated seats as well as the heated steering wheel extremely quick to warm up, these are cloth seats, so that helps a little bit, but they warm up rapidly. If you have them on level 3, you'll basically burn your back and butt. So generally, I turn them down to 2 quite quickly after getting in the Silverado. I mean, after a minute or 2 of being inside, you really need to start turning them down. But what's nice about the Silverado is that it uses the passenger weight sensor in the seat to detect whether or not there's an occupant and whether or not that heated seat needs to be turned on. And after you basically get in and turn the vehicle on, it will shut off the passenger heated seat unless somebody gets in and sits in the seat. So unfortunately, I couldn't get to work that time. However, I have done it before. I've witnessed it where I'm in the truck by myself. My heated seat and heated steering wheel is turned on. The passenger one turned off again after I got in and turned the vehicle on. And then I had a passenger come in within 30 seconds or to a minute after turning it on. The heated seat automatically turned back on and started heating the seat again. So that is one of the likes I really do like about the Silverado. And again, to me, is a must-have feature, especially if you live in a colder climate. So number 4 here on the inside is the fact that the cruise control stays enabled between ignition cycles. Now, I'm sure a lot of people out there have been in a vehicle or driven a vehicle where the cruise control does not stay enabled or turned on between ignition cycles. So basically, you have to re-turn on the cruise control and then go ahead and set it each time you get in and turn on the vehicle. Well, here in the Silverado, it basically stays on between ignition cycles. So after you get in each time, all you have to do is hit set on the cruise control and it's ready to go each time you want to use it. So number 5 is the digital gauge cluster along with the 13.4-inch infotainment screens. Now this was part of the 2022 mid-cycle refresh on this generation of Silverados. So these are found on the LT trims and higher. And this is one of the main reasons I want to do this long-term, or I guess medium-term test with this Silverado with an LT trim in specific, because not only do you get the digital gauge cluster, the larger infotainment screen, you get things like the heated front seats, dual zone automatic climate control, heated steering wheel, along with the LED headlamps at the front of the vehicle, among a few other things as well. So these are all things that I really have enjoyed using in the Silverado. You can control it here on the right side of the steering wheel. So if you go through some of these settings, you can see you have all your usual information in the center. And you can also configure each the left and right side of the gauge cluster to kind of set exactly what information you want, along with the totally different layouts that you can go through, and is one of the main things I have enjoyed using here in this truck. Now when it comes to the infotainment screen, this is the same kind of reasons I've enjoyed using it. There's a lot of user customization. This has wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, Sirius XM, AM, FM, USB inputs, Bluetooth, all the usual stuff you'll want to find in a new vehicle. You also have Google integration, so you get Google Maps built into the screen, you get Google Podcasts, Google News, some of the other Google apps you can download directly on the screen itself. You have trailering modes, you have all your camera views if you option the 360 camera system. This truck does not have that. You have built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. A bunch of nice settings can be found on this system, and is again one of the nice things I've enjoyed using over the last few weeks with this truck. Now I will say the infotainment system is on my likes list, but there's also a mention of a dislike, and that is the fact that the system can be a little bit slow upon startup, depending on what the situation is. So I've noticed with the infotainment system that if you remote start the vehicle, so you give it about 30 seconds or whatever time it takes for you to get in the vehicle after you remote start it, the system is very quick to boot up. It's very ready to go basically upon getting in the vehicle. However, if you don't remote start the vehicle, kind of just jump in, start the vehicle regularly, the system can be a little bit slow to boot up depending on the situation. So that is kind of a one minor nitpick or complaint I have with the infotainment, is that it can be slow at times upon startup, but after it's started up and running, it's really nice to use, and I don't really have any other complaints outside of that. So my last like, I believe this is number 6 here on the list, and that is the 2.7 liter turbo. Now obviously one of the main reasons around this whole series was around this engine and whether or not I would come to recommend it and like it here in the full-size Silverado. And I have to say, this engine is plenty powerful for a lot of daily driving aspects. Actually all daily driving aspects. This has plenty of power. This has 50 pound-feet more than the 5.3 liter V8, so plenty of torque. Comes in at 3,000 RPM peak, which is fairly low in the rev band. It's about in the middle of things, but really you don't notice any loss of torque or any need for more power on a daily driving situation. Now I have not done the towing test with this particular Silverado yet, so keep that in mind, is I've not done the towing test quite yet. However, I do believe this will tow just fine. It tows right around 9,000 pounds, just like the 5.3 liter V8 does. They're within a couple hundred pounds of each other. I'm sure there's less weight at the front of the vehicle than the V8 options in this truck, so that might help a little bit with handling and kind of driving dynamics. But overall, I've never found a need for more power in the Silverado, and overall I do recommend the 2.7 liter turbo. So those are my likes as far as the 2023 Chevy Silverado LT goes. Now I do want to talk about my dislikes, because there's something paired to this 2.7 liter turbo which I don't like so much. So if you guys have researched or know anything about the 2.7 liter turbo, then you know it's the only engine option that comes paired to the 8-speed automatic transmission. The rest of them come paired to a 10-speed, and if this engine was paired to a 10-speed, I believe I would not have any complaints at all with the powertrain. I think it'd be more than solid, more than powerful enough, everything like that. However, the 8-speed has given me some quirks over the last few weeks driving it. And the biggest complaints I have with the 8-speed is the fact that it can be a little bit rough to downshift, especially kind of at lower speeds or kind of on certain throttle applications. The vehicle can be a little bit hesitant and a little bit kind of rough to downshift. The upshift, I haven't noticed really any complaints there. And I think that's the biggest issue I have with the powertrain of the Silverado, is that the 8-speed can just be a little bit quirky, a little bit harsh, a little bit rough at times. But overall, it hasn't been a terrible experience, but I do want to mention that is it's a small dislike I have with this Silverado. So my second dislike has to do with the exterior here once again. Now say the vehicle got turned off, you exited, locked it like normal, walked away for more than a few minutes, so the truck fully goes to sleep, And say you come back with the proximity key on your person, in your pocket, whatever, and you come up to the proximity entry on the door handle, I have multiple occasions where the vehicle takes 2 presses of the button on the door handle to actually unlock. Now, I'm not exactly sure why that is. I've talked to a couple other people. They do have that occasionally happen on their GM vehicle, but I think with this truck, I've had it happen more often than not, to where I have to push the button at least 2 times on the door handle to actually get the system to wake up and actually unlock the truck. So that is another small complaint I have over my last few weeks with this Silverado. And jumping back inside, my third dislike with this Silverado has to do with the column mounted shifter and this new infotainment screen. So if you happen to own the refresh interior with the column shifter, you might already know what I'm about to say, but say you put the truck in drive, you'll see something immediately disappeared from out of sight, and that is the volume knob along with the home button for the infotainment screen. So you can see here is about my headshot view. You can see that the button is no longer available and out of sight. But say you're driving along and want to change the volume or go home. Well, you obviously can use the home button on the screen if you would like, but you can also use the physical home button. Now, one thing I've noticed immediately within the first few hours of driving this truck is that the home button as well as the volume knob is blocked quite perfectly by the column shifter. So you kind of have to reach around the shifter to not only reach the volume knob, but also access the home button if you would like to use it. So that is one complaint I have, is that your hand will rub on the column shifter if you want to use that volume knob as well as the button from time to time. Obviously, if the truck is in park, that's not an issue. And if you also have the center console with the console mounted shifter, that will also not be an issue because that is totally removed from the column. The shifter will be down here, and that's not even in your way of using that button functionality. So that's one thing that is particular to the column mounted shifter with this new refresh interior. And I guess one other aspect of this truck, because it doesn't have the trailer brake controller, which would be found right exactly where the push button start is that I would rather have the button start kind of over here on the angle like it was found in the pre-refresh trucks or the trucks found with the trailer brake controller, rather than right here next to kind of the heated seats and climate controls, because I think it is a little bit more ergonomic to kind of push it here on a slight angle than it is to kind of push it straight on this flat interface here. So that's just something that if you option the trailer brake controller, the button will be moved kind of over here on the angle. And if you don't have the trailer brake controller, it'll be found right there where that one's at. So that's just kind of a small gripe that I have, is that I would rather have it kind of here closer to my knee on the angle rather than kind of straight on with the climate controls. So that's going to do it as far as this video on my likes and dislikes on the 2023 Chevy Silverado LT go. Obviously, some of these are going to depend on the spec of your truck, whether or not it has a column mounted shifter or has the console, whether or not it has the trailer brake controller, or whether it has, you know, some of the other trim levels of this truck. Because some of these options and features are not found on every particular trim, even with the 2.7 liter turbo. So just keep that in mind, is that some of these are trim specific, but that has been my overall experience as far as the likes and dislikes go here with this particular truck. So obviously you can tell I have way more likes rather than dislikes with this truck. I have enjoyed driving it quite a bit. Outside of this, I really have enjoyed this trim level quite a bit. There's a couple things I would add if I were to buy one myself, but really I think the LT is a very solid trim in the middle of the lineup if you want most of these options as standard equipment rather than optioning it, or is simply not available on the custom trim. So I think this is a solid trim level to kind of build off your truck with. Obviously, if you want some of the more luxurious items, it might be advantageous to step up to an RST or an LTZ. But overall, I've really enjoyed the LT. So that's going to do it for this video on my likes and dislikes, once again, with the 2023 Chevy Silverado LT. Make sure to leave yours down in the comment section below if you happen to own a refreshed Silverado. I'd definitely be curious to see if you guys agree or disagree with some of mine mentioned in this video, or whether or not you guys have some that I didn't even think of. So make sure to leave those down below. And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications. Make sure to check out some of the other videos in this playlist with this Silverado. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a bunch of stuff, basically all the ownership aspects of living with a 4-cylinder Silverado, including towing. So make sure to check those out here in the near future. So with all that being said, once again, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and as always, hope to see you guys in the next one.